Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Sure. Sayer.
Here.
Bamber.
Here.
Gilbine.
Here.
Batcher. Here. McNally. Turnbull. Quaker. Here. Townsend.
Here.
Baker.
Here. Before we get started on the approval of the agenda, Steve, you have an announcement you'd like to make?
Yes, I'd like to take this time to introduce our new accountant, Jody Lou Russell. Jody, if you'll stand please for a minute. If anybody ever needs anything, you can get a hold of Rose or Jody. And she has taken Lisa Bone, who is no longer with this place, so we welcome you, okay?
Welcome. Okay, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor, aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Approval of minutes of May 13th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 13th regular meeting.
Second. Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Here comes Jeff.
Request to be on the agenda, there are none. Public comments once. Public comments twice.
I think someone's coming up.
A late guy. Public comments three times.
Here you go. Jim.
Public
I
comment.
was waiting for Jeff to come up and be seated. I don't want to speak up behind him. Mike Sue came from the Chamber of Commerce and the Convention Visitors Bureau, just here to give you an update. On your desks are a copy of a magazine ad, and I'm going to have Jerry Preston talk to you about the circulation and the efforts on advertising and marketing for the Bridgeport area, but I also wanted to show you the billboard that we have that's been up for the last 2 weeks on I-75 at the Flint River, advertising and promoting Bridgefest. That is the image that is on the billboard at this time. I believe there's 133,000 impressions a week at that billboard. Now that Bridgefest is in session, they will be changing the message on that billboard every day, reflecting the events and activities per day at Bridgefest. So they'll talk about the parade, they'll talk about the fireworks, they're going to talk about everything else. Because it's electronic, they go ahead and change that at will. So just letting you know some of the things that we've been doing to help promote the Bridgeport area. I'm going to turn this over now to Jerry Preston, who will talk more in detail about the magazine advertisements.
Just very quickly, you have in front of you a copy of a magazine ad that will be coming out in the forthcoming edition of AAA magazine. As you know, AAA has a circulation of a little less than 250,000 people, and so that's a fairly good-sized number of people, and we've been fortunate enough to be able to buy these ads. I'm going to be talking to you about it at distressed prices because we got it at the very last minute trying to roll this program forward. A similar ad is going to be in the USA Today's Gold magazine. That goes to 50,000 people. It's on the newsstands right now, and as soon as it comes off the newsstands, 5 million Orbitz members will all get a digital copy of the ad, so that will have very broad circulation. A similar ad is also in Canadian Crossings, the #1 magazine in Ontario, and that'll be going there as well. In addition, and this is not a whole lot of interest to you, but we also purchased Michigan Meetings magazine, which is directed specifically to meeting planners, and obviously that's to promote the Expo Center and the activities that go on there, and that's about 12,000 circulation. So just a quick update on what's going on with ads and things of that nature. Questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your efforts and your comments.
Thank you.
Okay, public comments 3 times. Okay, that concludes public comments. Let's move on to new business. Little Free Library.
All of you have a copy in front of you. This was co-founders Todd Bowl and Rick Brooks. Rose brought this to my attention and typed me up a quite lengthy little letter here about it. Birch Run also has one of these. They're becoming very popular. And what they are is, there should be a picture towards the back of what one of these looks like. And what it is basically just exchanging books. We are going to locate this down by the library, or down by the bridge area. And it's quite a larger, and it'll be cemented in with a nice post. It has our logo and everything on it. And what it is, and you can do a big splash about this. I'm either gonna do something in probably August, where people bring all their books, and I thought we could store them at the B&S building since we own that. And Rose and I are gonna be the ones to kinda check this weekly a couple times to make sure that there's books there. But if you're down by the bridge and you wanna sit at the bench or whatever, you can open it up and you can look and see what books are in there. You can take a book out and take it home with you, bring it back, bring other books in. And I think the one concern that Rose had was, would this take away from our public library? And Rose spoke with Rose Gutierrez down there, and absolutely not. So it's just a little exposure. It gives people something to look forward to. It doesn't cost anything. There are no dues. I'm not gonna read through this whole thing. You guys can go ahead and take a look at it. I believe it's on about the 4th page. You can see where there's a tree and a bench with one of these things that looks like the Little House library. And Matt Welch, who sits on the Birch Run Town Board, is actually the one that built these. If you go into Birch Run, it's by the Gold Post Pizza. And I just think it's something great for the community, so we're gonna try it. You can, and Mike might know a little bit about this too. I don't know if he's ever seen that. Yeah, I did say there's one in Birch Run.
Rotary.
The Rotary, right, yeah. It's sponsored through the Rotary, isn't it, Mike? Yeah, it's sponsored through the Rotary. And we get everything absolutely free. The only thing we have to do is, they're gonna bring it here on the 17th, which is next Wednesday. They're gonna bring it to the DPW, and the gentleman, Matt Welch, will go over all the specs. We're going to have to call Miss Dig, make sure that, because we have to put like a 6-inch post down in there, and then it'll be cemented in. So we're gonna just kind of find a place down by the bridge area. This has kind of gone nationwide, I think, and it's very, very popular. And after talking to Rose, and then we met with the lady from Rotary, her name was Carmen Sawshuk, I believe that's her name, S-A-W-S-H-U-K. We met with her, we had about an hour-and-a-half meeting, and she will also help us get this off the ground. But anybody that's got used books, that has anything that they wanna bring, we're gonna store them. And she said you'll get tons and tons of people that will bring books and stuff. And you wanna have them from, 3rd, 4th grade level up to, adult level and stuff like that. And you'll check it every couple days and bring a book, take a book, bring a book, take a book, and it will be available free in the community. So just one more little activity that if somebody's down by the bridge area, they can sit, read a book, take it home, or if they're walking the path, sit on the bench down there. I think it's a really neat concept. So we have nothing to lose. The only thing I think we have is to gain on it. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention that I pretty much made a decision that I think this would be great for our community.
Who covers the cost on that?
The Rotary. Don't cost us a penny. The gentleman from the Rotary, Matt Welch, who also sits on the town board, is the one that built it and everything, so there's no cost to anything. And I believe he talked to Rose and I at the meeting with all the townships, and we were going to follow like the little tree that's on all our business cards and stuff like that. So it should look very nice, and like I said, he's gonna drop it off on the 17th, but absolutely no cost to anybody. Any discussion, and what do you guys think about it? I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea, I just have a concern of the folks ended up in the river.
That could possibly happen, but I think if we turn it into a positive instead of a negative, and I'm not saying that you're saying that negative, but I was just talking to Sue a few minutes ago. She walks her dog every morning. The people out there are not picking up, I'm calling Sue now the pooper scooper. Because every day she's out there picking stuff up, and she said people are drinking down in that area and stuff like that. So if we kind of worry about some of those things, I think we're really setting ourselves up to fail, and I don't like to set up to fail. So we're gonna try it, and if it becomes an issue, I think at that time we just take it down and see if another community wants it or something like that.
She was,
Sorry, Sue.
she was at board meeting and made a presentation.
Yes.
And, the board approved it, but she did that same thing came up, and she said they've had very little
Yeah.
of that kind of stuff. That was my first thought also.
Or negative? No, I'm just kidding.
That's all I have on that.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Saginaw Future, dues request.
Every year, we work with the Saginaw Future. They will provide industrial development, location opportunities by participating with public and private organization in the development and preparation of industrial sites and parks, participating in planning activities to improve those items related to economic development, and specifically land, labor, and capital issues, and pursuing information on new site and federal programs that would improve economic development in Saginaw County. All of you know that we used to pay $3,500 a year to be a member, or that's your dues, and we lowered that a couple years ago down to $2,000. So they're just asking to have their agreement for services renewed, and I'm asking you to approve us getting a check out to Saginaw Future for $2,000.
You already have it in the budget, you have it
It's
in
a
the
line
budget.
item.
It is in the budget, it's a line item,
You just pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need approval.
I don't need approval?
You already got it?
Yeah.
Okay, well
I wanna
then,
say-
I am,
I want to make a comment. If I'm not mistaken, they are one of the people that helped a company come to Bridgeport, 160-some employee that's coming into Bridgeport in the superfood facility.
Amigo,
It's LD Transportation.
yeah, I was gonna bring that up under the DDA.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
But just
Mhm.
Saginaw Future was involved with them, so.
Well, while Daryl's talking about that right now, we might as well hit on it, and then I won't have to cover it under the, under my coordinator's report. LV Transportation is coming from Zilwaukee. They're leaving Zilwaukee and they're coming to the old Superfoods building, as Daryl has stated, in the Omni warehouse. They're remodeling it right now. They're going to share the building with Hosbeck Pickles, which is in there now. They're remodeling 145,000 square feet, and they're planning on bringing 160 employees to Bridgeport. And I would say that's probably gonna happen in the next few months or so.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yes, Saginaw Future was one that did help that and kind of put that whole thing together. So 160 new employees is gonna be great for businesses here at Bridgeport.
Absolutely.
I thought I still needed approval, even though it's a line item or even though it's in our budget. Anytime I spend money, I thought I needed to have that stuff approved. Because if you got it in the-
Because we already approved your budget.
Okay?
In the budget.
So,
And I think there's a note now that specifically said it was for Saginaw Future, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my question then is anything that is been, you approved my budget, or the DDA budget, if there's something here that has been, since the budget has been approved, then I can just go ahead and do what I wanna do with those line items?
all you gotta do is bring it and let us know that you're doing it,
Okay,
just FYI.
unless it's not in there and it's
Unless it's
something
not,
additional.
especially if it's a line item, right, Chuck? I
But
mean,
that
that's-
one specifically says.
Yeah, it's a line item.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Okay. Okay, we don't need an approval on that then, I just wanna make sure that you guys know what I'm doing.
Okay,
Just don't give yourself $100,000.
that's probably one of the few that specifically spelled out.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
any further discussion on the Saginaw Future? That concludes that discussion then. Old business, Beautification Committee Report.
Beautification is up and running. I'm sure all of you have seen the beautiful flowers. They probably were there, no, they came Memorial Day weekend. So that was after our meeting. They are really blossoming very, very well, I think, with the rain and the water. I don't think we've had much, Pat hasn't had to send his crew out very much because we've had a lot of rain. They look really, really amazing. We're getting a lot of positive comments. I believe Lisa had 3 ladies come in within the last week or so, and then I believe I saw an email forwarded to Rose. And then I had a lady, Tracy was up in my office talking about taxes, and her name was Mary McGregor, and she came in and loves how the town is looking, people keeping their grass cut, likes the flowers, likes what she has been seeing, and thinks it's about time. That's basically what she said. John from Reliable, Rose and I were at a chamber meeting this morning, and we were talking about some of the beautification stuff. And John, I have pretty much contact with at least every other day, if not every 3rd day. And he sent me a picture, and then on our way is when I was telling Rosa, and on our way back I get a text. And he sent a beautiful picture of the rock area that has been all completed right now with the mulch. It looks amazing, it looks nice. He goes, all done at the Stone Point, grass seed planted in the dirt area in front of the mulch, irrigation being turned on in about an hour. I will know if there's been any damage that has occurred, because we then had brought to our attention that, what was that called, Karen? Something you have to turn on? A switch? A valve. What? No.
backflow.
Backflow? Yeah, good answer. The backflow, the guys thought it was damaged, so John was gonna look into that. He goes, the bridge will be done today with mulch and flowers, hoping to get Fort done as well as today. And I just put, John, thanks. The bridge area looks great. You're doing an amazing job. This is very nice for, especially tomorrow, with the Bridge Fest going to start tomorrow. So John has been pretty much done with everything we've asked him to do. He goes, also, we need to leave roses behind the bench. The Beautification Committee talked about possibly moving those to the sides of the bench. He said transplanting is going to kill them. He's going to throw 2 Stella daylilies next to the bench area and add some mulch. And so I think that should probably take care of that there. So, and then it looked like he had, Rose and I were out of town today, it looked like he had didn't look like he had where the parking lot that the DDA owns, some mulch there, and he had cut down, so I don't know what he's kind of doing yet. I've got to call into him, like in the rain, whatever.
The rain garden?
The rain garden. I don't know what he's doing down there, but he's got that kind of cut low. And I told him that he doesn't know some of the flowers from weeds, and he said, because that really grew up, so he's just really trying. And at our last, Beautification Committee, the committee instructed me to get a hold of you, Tanya, to see if what plants would go in there, what would grow in there with the water and stuff like that. I have not had time to do that, so maybe you and I can work on that next week. So that's all I have to report from beautification, is those areas right there. Now there are some other areas in town that Lee has been taking care of, and we had some issues, and I think we continue to still have a few issues, and I've had some people ask me about certain things, and I basically just said it's being taken care of.
If I may, Steve, the north end of town where the Bridgeport sign is, looks like crap. It's full of weeds, and it's absolutely terrible. The area by the chamber, some of those beds look terrible. I don't know who's supposed to be doing those, or if they know they're supposed to be doing them, but it's not getting done. And something needs to be done soon, because it's pathetic.
We were told they would be taken care of by the event this weekend, so. I know I saw Bill out there the other day.
At the chamber.
Yeah.
That's the issue you're referring to, I'm sure, anyway, isn't it?
Yep. So we're working on it.
I agree with Augie. I was down there again this morning with Rose. I don't know how he thinks he's gonna be able to get that cleaned up by tomorrow. Tomorrow is the weekend. Karen and I have had a discussion, and I'm not impressed. I don't lie, I don't sugarcoat it. I'm not impressed that this year we have to go with him, and the only thing that Lee's business has done is mow that down there, and he's put some paver blocks up there, and that still has weeds and everything coming out of it, so.
I don't know, is Lee really, is he involved in it?
He doesn't do the labor, he's the employer.
Karen's been kind of having the conversation with Lee. I've called him a few times and halted what, I'm not paying a bill if something's not getting done. That's how I feel.
Well, if Karen says that he'll have it done beyond this past weekend, I mean, this coming weekend, if it's not done, what do we do? What do we do?
Well,
That's the committee to make that decision.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Can I comment?
Sure.
I was told they have no money in the bank, they haven't received a check yet. Until they do, they can't buy the flowers and things to do. They did as much as they could. Laura's waiting for money in the bank in their account.
Well, I can speak on behalf of that. If you're in business, you should have money in your bank to do business and not wait for it to be funded. Again, my opinion. Jamie did, Karen and I did talk. That check was cut last Tuesday, or just this past Tuesday. They cut checks on Tuesday. Karen and I talked last week. We sent them close to $2,500.
So that was yesterday?
The check went out yesterday. But again, and I know how the payment structure does work. When we get the quotes from the landscapers, the payments for John were May, July, and September. And I think those were kind of the same things with Lee. May, July, September, am I right?
That was in the contract?
Yes. Okay, now, John was out there 6 weeks in April doing his work because he's a businessman.
Laura did some of the work, Lee doesn't do
Well,
business. Laura-
I disagree with you, Sue, on that. There was no work done except the grass got cut after consumers went in there and made a mess of it. They went down there and the grass got cut. Other than that, there has been very little done. And if you're a business owner running a business, you don't wait for somebody to send you money so that you can go out and get it. Again, my opinion.
All right,
Well,
Steve,
since-
let's let the beautification committee handle it. from
So,
this point.
yeah, so Karen's got that all set.
Stop
Well,
discussing,
Laura,
Sue. We're gonna refrain from going further in that discussion here. And the beautification committee is gonna address the issue and resolve it. Okay, is there anything more on beautification? Let's move on to the Great Lakes Discovery Center.
The Great Lakes Discovery Center, we're still kind of where Tanya and I were last month. They have the back years ago, it was not called a deed transfer.
Well, I think we talked about this last month, but when the township acquired that property, it was acquired through it was a tax reverted parcel. At that time, the tax reverted parcels, when they weren't purchased through the county, they went directly to the state. And so the township acquired it through tax reversion process through the state. And part of, when the title work came through to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, that piece was still showing up as owned by the previous owner, Reuben Schultz. And so we were able to find the deeds from the state and the public notification process that had to be followed. We found all that documentation, it's all been recorded, we sent it to U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and now they're putting it through their process to see if, if that is acceptable. That should clear the title on it.
So all the property was not cleared until, we thought it was, until we found this parcel.
The title work showed this parcel.
Yeah.
But that we get the evidence to show that it belongs to the township.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Okay? Good.
Now we're just waiting for them to come back and with the paperwork instead of closing.
We're not yet. Title work, when they come back on that, the closing should happen. Unless something else comes along.
Okay, anything more on the Great Lakes Discovery Center? This concludes my item. Fund of Bavarian Comfort Care.
Just a little update on that. They did break ground. I believe it was on the 27th of May. Rose and I happened to be out throughout the town, and we stopped in there, and we saw, who was the contractor?
Mayday. I think it was Mayday Construction, I believe.
No.
No?
Woolgas.
Woolgas?
Woolgas.
Mayday.
No, Woolgas Construction was there, and we happened to get out and talk, and he said, well, we're gonna break ground the next day, which was on a Tuesday, because we were out on a Monday. And then there was another lady that must have saw us in the truck, because we were in the township truck. She pulled back in there. Her name was Julie. She was actually on her way down to the township to bring us a check for $53,383.31. And we kindly said we would be more than happy to take that check back to the office for you and get you a receipt. So Jamie took care of that. So the DDA portion of that went into our account is $26,768.31. And that again is recovery from the bond that we did when we put the water and the sewer and all that stuff in. So construction and everything is going on right now as we speak.
That's recovery of the.
Yes.
Can we prepay that bond or not?
That's a good question. I think we probably could.
I think we did last year, didn't we?
We
Throw a
did.
payment out last year, then it's how we handled it.
Comes up, yes.
Yeah.
It seems like that money comes in against that. We could prepay it.
Yeah, right now it's just sitting in.
That's what I would do.
In the
I would
account.
like to go that direction.
Prepaid, okay. I gave you, huh?
I believe when we did the prepay last time, I think it cost us about $2,000 to do that.
Oh, did it? Okay. We'll look into that. Rose just said that she believes that when we did the prepay the last time, it cost us about $2,000 for charges, right?
Mhm.
But I gave all of you guys a couple months ago a copy of the bond schedule, you know, how we're making those payments, so y'all should have that. Let's have Rose, we'll check that
Yeah,
out.
let's check it, but at the
That's
same
a penalty for prepayment, is it?
I didn't deal with that. Rose is kind of,
Yeah, that was something that Eric was working with, but I remember it was $2,000 and it's an attorney that handles the bond payments for us. I think it was a fee toward him. I don't believe it was a penalty, but I don't know that for sure. I'd
I
have
think
to
we
double
should,
check.
I think we should look at it, but if he's gonna come back at us and say there's a penalty, I think we should buff him. I mean, I think we should talk to him, say, hey, we're trying to just pay early, you don't want your money.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Didn't we actually save more money than that in the long run because we paid the end of it?
Mhm.
if we can, let's check into it just to see if we did, because if we got the funds, I'd rather
Yeah, let's get it paid off.
We can probably have our new accountant figure out if it's specifics or
Yeah,
Get right on that.
we'll work with, yeah. Can you have that done, Jody, in 5 minutes?
not. Okay,
Okay.
is there any more on the Bavarian Comfort Care? That concludes that part of the
Can I ask you a
discussion.
question? How many beds is that, their addition?
21.
So that brings them up to what there?
I think they got 30-some right now, 50-some.
Cool, that's good, nice.
There was a real nice article in the Herald 2 weeks ago when they did break ground. John Hoffman was down there, and it showed the picture of John. If you guys saw that down there, yeah.
I saw the picture.
Did ya? Yeah. I think it's in the 50s, Daryl.
Okay.
Okay, any more on Bavarian Comfort Care? Let's move on to closed session, which there is none. And the DDA Coordinator's Report will be next.
Okay. I'd like to take this opportunity to, came in a little bit late, to introduce you to our newest board trustee, Mr. Calvin Williams. I saw him walk in, so welcome, Calvin.
Well, thank you very
And
much.
we meet every second Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
And Calvin has taken the place of Walter LaShore. So welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
The only other thing I got is tomorrow, there is a site visit from the DNR to come down and get preliminary stuff.
They do a site visit on all the grant applications, so they did one last year at the canoe launch, so I think they're not doing one there, but they are doing one down here, just to look at the site and get a feel for it. It's part of their.
Your medals are picked up.
Yours?
I said ours.
So that's tomorrow.
Steve,
Yes.
speaking of the canoe launch, I see Bill here, where do we stand with, have we started yet, or when do we?
We are in the process of submitting our DEQ permit for new launch back here. So that takes 90 days, unfortunately. And then that will, hopefully the end of August, we'll be able to start bidding it out and stuff like that. Somewhere around there?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
So,
Do you think we'll be starting this fall?
It depends on that DEQ permit, and if it's through 90 days, then we probably can bid it late August, early September. If they drag it out and takes longer than that, being in the floodplain, you may not want to open cut that site and go into winter with it. So, once we get that DEQ permit, we'll have to look at that a little bit closer. You don't want to get fined through the state, for not having, if that floods, just the chance of that open cut soil getting into the river is a risk.
it's a lot slower process than what I would like to, trust me.
Well, the only reason I'm asking, we had maybe some foundation meeting, they were asking,
Yeah.
they were asking somebody.
Yeah, we still have their letters.
Okay,
Is that it on that, Jeff? Okay. I mentioned to you about the LV transportation and stuff coming in. One thing I do want you to know, that is not in the DDA district, okay? Even though the front of the Dixie Highway there is in the DDA district, but Rose and I were kind of shocked when Amanda told us that that wasn't in the DDA district. It kind of highs off a little bit because it sits back. And so the positive thing about that is that has went to tax tribunal. The people that own that building are some, what'd she say, some bank or some whatever. That building's been valued or appraised at about $8 million. They think that their building should be assessed or whatever at about $4 million. So if they do get approval on that and she can, get all the comps out and stuff like that, it's actually better that it's in the township and not in the DDA, because the DDA would pay $4 4 times the amount of money back because the township has a lower tax base. Am I saying that right? Tax rate, where the DDA has a higher tax rate. So they're gonna take that down almost $4 million. She said that would be a really big chunk for a DDA. So we're kind of lucky on that. But the positive side is 160 new jobs coming in. I talked to Dan Billingsley, our wastewater superintendent. He has talked to a gentleman by the name of Mike Cox. Parks Excavating will be starting to take out all of the tanks at the Marathon gas station. Other than that, we have no other details. There's no plans been submitted, nothing's come into Ron, but Dan thought that by getting these things out of there and this excavating, getting it done, it's gonna open up the door for him to start that dialogue, or Ron start that dialogue with Speedway gas station. It is going to happen, it's just we don't have any other details other than they're gonna be taking out the tanks the week of June 22nd. Took a lady out through town yesterday trying to find her a place to open up I think I mentioned this, a dog training school. And I showed her several, there's not a whole lot, but I showed her a few things that may work for her. She owns the Midas Muffler Shop on the corner of Junction and Main Street in Franklin. I wanted to thank Ron Gobine for the flowers that he put in out front of the gas station. They look really, really nice.
Very nice.
He did all along that. It looks very nice. Good job. I have nothing further.
Steve,
Yes.
what's the status of our historical sign at the bridge?
Of what?
The historical sign?
That's part of the DNR grant. It was put in as part of that.
The new launch?
No, for
Down there.
down
Okay.
here by the bridge.
That's a good idea. Nice.
Good place to put it.
Yeah.
What's that?
Good place to put it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go
great.
ahead and say that.
We kind of talked about that. when we
Okay,
talked
that concludes the coordinator's report.
about-
Roberta?
I don't have any comments, so.
Tommy?
I just wanted to say that the board is real happy to have Kelvin Williams with us now. He's got a lot of experience he's president of the Southfield Village Association. Cheryl Hatzel, our county commissioner, is putting on a couple of committees, one of them being the Saginaw County Planning Commission. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna ask the board to approve appointing him to our Bridgeport Planning Commission at our next meeting. We have to have one board member sitting on the planning commission, and Walter LaShore was that person. So we're all glad to have him on board and excited to have him a member of the board.
Okay, thank you, Logan. Darrell?
No comment.
Karen?
I just have 2 comments, and one of them was bridge related. Just a thought, if we're worried about some of the activity that might be shenanigans down at the bridge, one of the things maybe I think we could do as a board and a community is just encourage people to use that space. So maybe we could come up with some sort of campaign of some sort that encourages traffic over in the bridge area, some sort of, I don't know, walkable. We're trying to be a walkable community, so somehow if we could spin that so that people are out there using it more, we would have less shenanigans going on. So just a thought to maybe ponder if there's something out there that you know of, Tanya, that could grant-wise get people moving, you know?
I don't know if there's something through Blue Cross, Blue Shield, they have some Healthy Michigan campaign. I don't know, that's one idea. you know, another idea is, like a mileage club, you know, where, I don't know, if there's a prize at the end for someone who gets the most miles, or, just a few ideas. you know.
So I don't know how you could take that a little further, but I threw it out there. And then, just a topic of the beautification again. Now that we're kind of a subcommittee, now that we're officially a subcommittee of the DDA, the guidelines for us have changed. So if we're interested in transitioning from one landscape company to another, we're gonna need to follow those guidelines that require us to get 3 bids. Therefore, we're gonna need to have specs so we can get those 3 bids. So you probably wanna, plan on seeing some sort of funds, diverted to that so that we can have Spicer create specs so that we can then follow through and get those additional bids. So that's just coming down the pike for FYI. That's all I got.
No weeds.
No news?
But, yeah,
That's
so,
all.
let's,
Oh,
and we put something together a few years ago.
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
I said. Nothing.
Yeah, it's before
Ron?
I was there.
Gary?
I just wanna say I heard quite a few friends of mine have come and told me how beautiful the flowers are up and down there, and 2 thumbs up, you did a good job. That's good.
Looking sharp, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Next meeting is on Wednesday, July 8th at noon, right here. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion is made second, all in favor, aye? Meeting adjourned.